Hey everyone, Romeo here, a fellow Spanish language learner. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I've come to think of as the two biggest phases of Spanish learning and where I believe most people get stuck. Most people think learning Spanish is just one long process, but the way I see it, Spanish learning has two big phases that are constantly overlapping: recognition and recall. And if you feel stuck right now, it may be because you spent most of your time strengthening recognition while barely training recall. Recognition is what almost everyone does. This is where you start understanding Spanish. You can read it, you can follow along when people speak, you can recognize verb forms, and you start thinking, okay, I know Spanish. And to be fair, you kind of do, because recognition matters. You build it through books, courses, apps, videos, listening, all of that. It's all necessary. But here's the problem: recognition lets you understand something without being able to say it. And this is where people get frustrated, because you can understand Spanish, but when it's time to speak, you hesitate, you slow down, you start second guessing everything, and your sentences don't come out the way you want. That gap right there, that's not always a knowledge problem. A lot of the time, it's a recall problem. You may understand it when someone else say it. You may even know the rule. But when it's time to produce that sentence yourself in real time, the structure isn't ready. Recall is a completely different skill. This is not recognizing the right answer or following along. This is producing the sentence yourself from nothing in real time. And most people never actually train this. They just keep doing more input, hoping that eventually speaking will improve. But it doesn't work like that, because recall has to be trained directly. For me personally, I can express myself pretty well in Spanish at this point. I can hold extended conversations about many things, but that doesn't mean I don't have gaps. I still do. They just show up differently now. At this point, recognition is much easier for me. If I see a structure in Spanish or hear it clearly enough, I can usually understand what's happening. But producing that same structure quickly, that's different. For example, when I started training Volume 1 of Structured Recall, one of the biggest weak points I noticed was ser versus estar across different tenses. And I don't mean the beginning version of that problem, not just do I use ser or estar. I mean the more specific decisions that have to happen when you're actually trying to speak. Like, do I say estuvo or fue? Do I say estaban or estuvieron? Am I talking about what something was like, where someone was located, what happened, or what someone became? Before drilling those structures, I could recognize a lot of them when I saw them, but when I had to produce them myself quickly, I still hesitated. And after drilling those patterns over several days, the differences became much clearer. Not perfect, not automatic in every situation, but much clearer. Now that I'm working through Volume 2, I'm seeing a different kind of gap: pronouns. And not just knowing that lo, la, le, and les exist, I mean quickly taking a noun in my head, figuring out if it's masculine or feminine, singular or plural, direct object or indirect object, and then replacing it with the right pronoun fast enough so that the sentence comes out cleaner and more precise. That's where I'm still slow. But that's the point. Structured recall is forcing me to confront the exact structures that I can understand, but I don't yet produce smoothly. And one thing I've noticed is that this doesn't only help my speaking. Because I'm spending more time training these pronouns, when I hear them in real Spanish, I am faster at converting that spoken structure into meaning. So it's not just output practice, it actually sharpens my listening too. Because once your brain has had to build the structure yourself, you recognize it faster when someone else says it. And honestly, part of the reason this matters for me is I don't stress test my speaking all the time. I'm not a native speaker. I don't live in a Spanish speaking household, and I don't work in a Spanish speaking environment. So unless I deliberately train certain structures in a controlled environment, they stay weak. Not because I've never seen them, not because I don't understand them, but because I haven't practiced pulling them out fast enough when I actually need them. Before, the main way I trained was through workbooks. And honestly, I still think this is one of the best things beginners can do. You take Spanish exercises or full Spanish paragraphs, reverse engineer them into English, and then translate the English back into Spanish. That works. It forces you to produce the structure instead of just recognizing it. But it's slow and it's limited. Now there's a much more direct way to train this. It's called structured recall. It takes commonly used Spanish structures you may already recognize and forces you to actually produce them. The system is simple. You speak, you check, and you continue. No passive review, no shortcuts, just controlled output over and over again with one purpose in mind: stabilizing your recall of high impact, commonly used Spanish structures. Because the goal isn't just to know that a structure exists, the goal is to make the structure easier to access when you actually need it. Whether that's choosing between fue and estuvo, or turning a noun into lo, la, le, les, or even say lo and say la, you have to practice producing those structures before you can expect them to come out smoothly. The customer is important to us. El cliente es importante para nosotros.
El cliente es importante para nosotros.
Correct. The workers were ready for the meeting last night. Los trabajadores estuvieron listos para la reunión anoche.
Los trabajadores estuvieron listos para la reunión anoche.
We will be at the store tomorrow. Nosotros estaremos en la tienda mañana.
Nosotros estaremos en la tienda mañana.
Correct. So if you feel stuck right now, it's probably not because you need endless amounts of more input. Input matters. Recognition matters. But if you can currently understand Spanish better than you can speak it, then the missing piece is probably recall. Recognition gets you to understanding, but recalling the structures you know when you need them is what actually lets you speak more fluently in Spanish. If you're interested in learning more about how structured recall helps with this process, be sure to check out the link in the description of this video. And if this video gave you clarity on the difference between recognizing Spanish and recalling Spanish so you can actually produce more Spanish, be sure to give this video a like. Until the next video, good luck on your journey to building more functional, usable Spanish. Peace.